good day, and welcome to another episode of Budget in Focus. Now, I have with me in studio Minister of Public Works, Bishop 𝐿, and Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, the Honorable Deodat Endar. Ministers, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you, and greetings to all your viewers and listeners.
And Happy New Year to them as well. I'm sure we can still say that later on in January. But Minister Ashni Singh presented a $1.38 trillion budget in the National Assembly on Friday. And looking at how Guyana's economy would have grown last year, 43.6% growth in GDP. What are your thoughts on the stewardship of the economy so far? Let's start with Minister Ejel.
Well, Shaquille, the first thing that we have to acknowledge is that Guyana's in safe hands with the PPPC. Last year, when we presented our budget, one of the things we emphasized is that even though the budget would have grown, like it would have grown again in 2025, when you go through the context of the budget, this is not just splurging or wasteful spending or trying to do fantastic things. This is about addressing the lives and livelihoods of people. It's about addressing the real concerns of the Guyanese people. I've heard over the weekend some criticisms coming from people who, when they had the management of the economy, could not have won the admiration of the people by the things that they were purportedly supposed to be doing for the people. But every year it was hardship, frustration, complaints, dissatisfaction. Now that we have a budget, there are two things that we want to get clear. It is aligned with what we committed to the people. We called it our manifesto in the run-up to the election. Once we got into government, it became our social contract. We said we will do this, and this is our social contract. So the Guyanese people must now judge us. We said we will double all its pensions. Budget 2025 has brought that final punch to make that a reality. We said we will make the Because We Care cash grant 50,000. Budget 2025 addresses that. We said we will reduce the cost of electricity by 50%. Budget 2025 addresses the financing to make sure that that becomes a reality. So I can go through everything that we said we will do in our social contract, which was known as the party's manifesto in the run-up to election. The PPPC has managed the economy in a manner that has made it sustainable. I heard people talking about how the debt has grown, but just look at the percentage of revenue that is being used to service debt. It is under a manageable figure, and I think it's 4% right now. 4% right now, when we look at the numbers. So, and what is important, and I think some persons have not recovered from that yet. We said we will make university education free. 100% of the financing of the University of Guyana is now catered for in Budget 2025. We said we will do 20,000 scholarships for the Guyana Online Academy of Learning goal. We have exceeded the 20,000.
Correct.
And Budget 2025 makes provision for other Guyanese to benefit from that. So when we look at what were our commitments to children, to the elderly, to the private sector, in recognizing that we still have a challenge with electricity, which I guess Minister Endar will address sometime later in this program. Yeah. We have now taken the VAT off of redundant power that businesses would have to acquire, their generators. So it is making it cheaper and easier for the private sector. And hopefully, and that is the expected outcome, cost and the reduction of cost would be passed on to the consumer. So Budget 2025 is family friendly. The benefits that are coming to families, the additional support that you can get as a result of claiming for every child on your PAYE. We have increased the income tax free pay threshold from 100,000 to 130,000. But we have also reduced the percentage of taxation that has to be paid from 28% to 25% and from 40% to 35%. We have also in this budget, and this I think is what is significant, shown people that the commitments that we made about sharing the proceeds from oil to every household, or I should say to every adult Guyanese, 18 years and over, those who have not yet received their cash grant, Budget 2025 caters to that. So nobody should be panicking if I can get my cash grant. The money is provided. It's a matter of getting it done in an orderly manner to ensure that everybody is served. So when we talk about a 2025 budget, we're talking about people in Guyana having to make an admission. Boy, when the PPP say they're going to do something,
they'll get it done.
They get it done. They don't play. I mean, compare that to the APNU who promised young people, promised pensioners, promised public servants, promised everybody anything to get into office. So when they got into office, they just abandoned their promises. We have kept true to our social contract. We can go to the people of Guyana in 8 to 10 months and say to them, review our performance. Just let us have a frank discussion. Take all the racism out of the politics. Take all the bitterness out of the politics. Take all the hate out of the politics. You ask us to manage Guyana, and we have managed it well. We haven't been perfect, but we've been good for Guyana. I've been saying that all the time. So when you look at this budget, that we would have built on what we did in 2020, reverse all the hardship measures. 2021 start providing for dealing with the development deficit. 2022, 2023, 2024, building on that, modernizing Guyana, transforming Guyana. And then when you add 2025 budget to it, you have to say, boy, the people in the PPPC, they really mean business. These guys don't play at all. And that's the admission. The man in the barber shop, the lady in the nail salon, the conversation on the minibuses, the park, around the market square. A few people who want to attack the PPPC will not survive in this environment because people are satisfied. You can imagine young professionals, they have gotten their relief in terms of their mortgage interest relief, they've gotten their house lots, they've gotten their turnkey home. And now to encourage proper family life, a grant is given to every baby that is born. You know what that means? When we were born, our parents were scrounging. Now every baby that is born in Guyana have an opportunity to start from a standpoint of surplus and not zero. That 100,000, when invested, or what it could do for the family immediately. But let's say the young professional who's now getting their first child decides to invest that 100,000 grant at the time of birth. 10 years from now, you know what I will grow to? You put it into mutual funds. So Guyanese are not just paycheck to paycheck anymore. Guyanese are not scrounging at the market for a loaf of bread. Things are not perfect, but they are much, much better. So safe hands with the PPPC and a budget that fulfills our promises. That will be my opening here on this.
A great opening. Thank you, Minister. Looking at from where you just ended, you know, there's something in this budget for the infants, there's something in this budget all the way up to the elderly. Minister, there that in there, we would have seen Dr. Ashney saying report that Guyana's non-oil economy has grown by 13.6%. So while there's a lot of activity in the oil and gas sector, there's a lot also happening at the community level and so on. Your thoughts on the stewardship of the economy so far and how this budget will help Guyanese at every stage of their lives?
It's a very good question, Chucky. And Minister 𝐏𝐿 outlined some of the measures, some of the activities around the growth of 43.6%. But let's re-examine 43.6% GDP growth in a single year, what it means. First of all, there is nobody else on this planet that can post those kind of numbers. No other country on the planet that can post those kind of numbers. And those numbers has been on the up and up since we took office in 2020. So it's grown double digits all the time. So it's growth on growth on growth on growth. So the economy continue to expand. Now, when we talk about GDP, for those who don't understand what it, there are multiple ways of calculating GDP. But what it means is that the accumulate or the sum effect of the income of households and businesses add together. So if you say your country is growing, the GDP is growing, it means that the income of the country generated at a household level, business level is growing. That tells you a story. The non-oil GDP of 13% that you see a growth there too is about stewardship and diversification of the economy. Now, when you have a large share of your economy based on oil and gas and so, if there's a shock on prices for a downward trend of prices like it when they last them to $28, a bucket of KFC was worth more than a drum of oil. That is what the oil price went to. If that's the case, then it will shock your revenue really hard. So countries a lot of countries fail to diversify their economy. What Guyana has been doing is make sure that we do diversify the economy. And you can look at every aspect of the reports presented, but look on the ground. On the ground, if you go to the farmers market and if you go into the countryside and you go to the farmlands, everybody are mining some form of ruminants. They're mining poultry. They're planting cash crop. They're planting rice. All kind of fruits. People are investing in new crops. You know, all kind of new crops like soya bean, all those corn, all those things. People are investing in agriculture to diversify. The agriculture minister, he will go into much detail.
Yeah.
But look at wholesale and retail. Wholesale and retail went up by 7%. Services, the services sector, different aspect of services sector, all of them were shown increase. Financial services, admin services, warehouse rental, you name it, insurance, wholesale, all those services went up. When you look at the other aspects of the economy, like sand production, stone production, those things are 12 million tons of sand in a single year. Just think about how many trucks gotta move that.
Yeah.
How many truck drivers are employed. You understand me? Owners of the trucks them. All of them breaking up the road and so, but they're making money too. We can deal with that at another time. That's another conversation. But so the quarrying too. You had 3.3 million tons of quarry material finding its way from the quarries into the construction site. In public works, we normally do a lot of small, we call community contracts. Last year alone, 50 million, 0 to 50 million. We had 4,117 projects. That means we had 4,117 contractors. You understand how many people now becoming into the middle class?
Yeah.
So that is what the other side of the economy is. Apart from the many things that Minister 𝐏𝐿 just spoke about, the cash grant, look into mining, forestry. Forestry alone create 25,000 jobs. The housing sector. Look at Minister of the Houses, over 41,000 house lots give out. I think that was the figure. 40,000, but Minister Suzanne said it went to 41,000 from the time of the report. House lots give out. Look how many houses are being built. Carpenters have to build them. You have to get foremen. You have to get electrical guys. You understand me? People who selling the wood. People who making the block. Men who transporting the concrete. Men who bringing the cement. The man who doing the zinc. The guttering. everybody gets work. In our ministry, we have a department called the Inspectorate Division that normally certifies buildings, right?
Yeah.
To hook up power. Last year, a single year, they certified 13,976 properties for them to get electrical connection. You understand what's happening in the sector there? It is throughout. They say when the high tide comes, it lifts all boats, and that is what's happening here with the country.
And everyone, indeed, there's opportunity for everyone to get involved. But Minister, before we move to Minister 𝐿𝐤𝐬, the energy expansion and diversification has taken prominence in this budget once again. A lot of persons are looking forward to the gas energy project and saving that 50% on electricity costs. What key elements of this project is outstanding, especially on the GPL end, that will ensure that once the project is complete, electricity is fed to the homes of persons around the nation?
So the energy project, as you know, have many moving parts, right? First, there was the laying of the deep water pipeline, which was done. Then there was the shallow water pipeline, which was already done. Then there was the onshore pipeline that was already done, right? From Crane to Wales. So the pipeline lay. They had the plant itself, which is the construction of the area, and to put down the plant, a power plant of 300 megawatts. And for them to use the gas, they had a natural gas processing plant there. So they processed the gas so they could use the gas to generate power. That power has now have to be evacuated. So there's another project to deal with the transmission line and the substations to move the power from Wales, bring it to Riddenhoop. That construction of that line has already been done. And to move the power from Wales across the river, the Demerara River to Garden of Eden, and then they take it to the backlands, still to behind 𝐿𝐤𝐬𝐬 there, a place called 𝐿𝐤𝐬𝐻 there, right? 𝐿𝐤𝐬𝐻 on the east coast, but it runs straight behind 𝐿𝐤𝐬𝐻. So the power plant is at the back there. I visited it 2 weeks ago. So there is where you're going to have the control center, control building and the control center with substation there to break down the power from 230,000 volts to 69,000 volts to 13,800 volts, and then it dispatch into the communities. All of those projects are in advanced stage of completion. The one that is really the one that we are looking and working with is the contract to actually build the power plant and the NGL plant. Most of the procurement and the engineering was done. Some of the turbines came in, the transformers came in, and these are not little transformer waiting. These are transformers that weighs 150 tons. These are large units. The procurement side, a lot of it is completed. The construction of the plant, that is where the work is, at the actual construction. The site stabilization was completed, and so piling and so was done. So that is where that project is. That project has to be delivered in 2025 so that the simple cycle comes into play. The simple cycle is around 210 megawatts thereabout to evacuate into the grid so that the 230,000 customer on the Demerara integrated system, which is the grid, will get that power. That power plant will push power into the Demerara Berbice integrated system, the DBIS as they call it. So that is what we, so upon power being evacuated into the system, at that point we will see the reduction of the tariff that customers and businesses pay. Currently, it's about $48 Guyanese. Certain category of business runs from $56 and so on. But whatever it is, it will be cut in half so that household will benefit. Now just think about that. Just think about a man paying 20 grand right now, he can pay 10 grand. A business paying 100,000, they can pay 50 grand. A big company paying $1 million a month, they're going to pay 500,000 a month. Just think about what that means to businesses. It will revolutionize businesses. It will create the incentive for more businesses to get in operation. Things that we never did in the past will now become financially viable. And this is what I mean by that. Whenever you do a project, let's say you want to do a processing plant for milk or a processing plant for fruits, or any form of processing. But when you do processing, most times it deal with heat exchangers or cold storage. Both of them requires energy. Heat exchange requires boilers to deal with that, and pumps and so on, pasteurization and so on. All of that sucks energy. On the other side of the table is the cold chain. If you're not dealing with heat, you're processing through cold storage. Cold storage draws down on power. So just imagine companies that want to operate in that sector, whether it's processing for milk, fruits, whatever, coconut water, whatever agricultural processes, whatever you want to do, metal, ironmongery, all of those things, they drink power. Those businesses will now expand. Warehousing, cold storage warehousing, all of those things now can come into people who do a lot of poultry, as Minister 𝐏𝐿𝐬 was talking about earlier. Poultry, storage for your poultry. Before, you distribute it to the cold chain in the supermarkets, so new supermarket, freezers. That will revolutionize the entire country. Power and the grid. And that is what the entire office of the Prime Minister is looking at. I normally assist the Prime Minister with that aspect of the business.
Thank you for that overview, Minister. I am certainly looking forward to my electricity bill going down this year. But let's shift our attention to roads and bridges. At $209.3 billion price tag, it has attracted this year, and there are a number of flagship projects on the list. Looking, of course, county by county, Minister 𝐏𝐿𝐬, what can Guyanese expect as the PPPC government fast-tracks its development agenda, specifically as it relates to the roads and bridges sector?
Well, let's start from the east. You're going to have a bridge across the 𝐏𝐻𝐻 River. So let's be starting there. You'll have an upgraded 4-lane road from Molson Creek all the way to Palmyra. You're going to have a bridge across the Berbice River. The 4-lane highway from Orange Nassau, Mahaica to Sheriff Mandela will be completed. Conversation 3, as it is right now, will be extended all the way down to Francois Avenue. The road from Diamond all the way out to Land of Canaan is going to be developed. The road from Ogle to Eccles is going to be advanced. It should be completed in a matter of a month or 6 weeks.
First quarter.
And then it is heading all the way up to Diamond. You're going to have the new Demerara River Bridge in 2025 with connector roads to Heroes Highway and to all the other connections that are there, including back to the East Bank. When you get over the west side, the road from Schooner to Parika is catered for in budget 2025. All the bridges in the backlands will be built. When you get out to Parika, you'll have a new Parika Stelling, modernized to fit the evolving world, whether it's to do direct agricultural products to the Caribbean, to attract yachts and the rest of it, to deal with leisure travel as well as commercial travel. A new and modern Parika port facility will be put in place with cold storage, dealing with farming, immigration. The whole works will be out there. Then let's go the other side. The road that we committed in our social contract from Sand Hills to Falmouth, then into Bartica, and the road from Parika to Goshen is all in this budget. We are currently building the bridge across the Macaura Creek, which is a huge development. You're going to have the completion of the Stelling at Bartica. You're going to have the completion of the Stelling at Port Kaituma. You're going to have the completion of the Stelling at Marijuana. You're going to have the completion of the Stelling, the new Stelling at Kumaka. The Kingston Goods Wharf, as we call it right now, will be completed. You're going to have additional vessels that will be purchased in the year 2025 to bring about improvement of traffic. But then let's head south down to Linden. The entire road, which is 4 lanes to Diamond on the East Bank Public Road, will be moving from Diamond to Good Success. Work is going on right now as we sit and speak. From Good Success all the way out to Tamiri, that contract is being executed, funded by the IDB. You're going to have the upgrade of the Linden-Sulzdijk Highway. And for the people who are saying not just the road, there are going to be 2,900 street lights installed along that corridor. So Linden-Sulzdijk Highway will become navigable day and night with new safety measures, expanded lanes, and even if a truck is parked, you still have wide driving lanes and nobody should be running into the back of a truck. We've lost too many lives. So the 209 billion that you're talking about, the bridge across the Demerara River from Mackenzie to Wismar, which is a 4-lane bridge, the continuation of the work to upgrade the road from Linden all the way to Lethem, but in this phase up to Mabura Hill, the bridges from Kurupakari all the way down to Lethem, they are completed, and this budget will cater for the payment of the retentions and the final work. When we go to the hinterland, it's taken on a new meaning. All the roads and access in Port Kaituma, in Matthews Ridge, all the roads in Mabura, all the roads in Maruka, including linking Maruka with Quibana, which is about 26 kilometers. The concrete road from Maruka is heading to Quibana, and we've started working from Quibana, coming down to Maruka. We're talking about Waramuri having 1.2 kilometers of concrete road in their area. Whitewater is having 2 kilometers of concrete road. This budget provides for the completion of that. Yarong Paru, which we are developing the connection between Regions 9 and Regions 8, from Karasabai to Monkey Mountain. And we are right now at Yarong Paru building out concrete roads. We're almost finished a kilometer. We may very well end up with another kilometer. When you go into Amerindian villages now, you won't be seeing sand and laterite. We are putting in asphaltic concrete roads, just like how Lethem looks right now. Yeah. That is how the big Amerindian villages are going to be looking in this budget, and then we will continue that, and we'll continue that. The road for the farmers to expand additional lands, Molson Creek to El Dorado, which also takes you to the abutment of the new Quarantine River Bridge, is going to be completed. The road from Oriala all the way down to Kokwani, this budget caters to take it to its final stage, so that will be a full corridor all the way from Oriala in the back to Kokwani. You'll be able to bring out the aggregates, you'll be able to bring out your wood, we'll be able to take in the explosives without having the contention of moving along the Quarantine River with explosives, which is a sensitive matter. So that entire corridor will be completed. We're right now out to tender for bridges, because when we talk about roads, we also have to talk about bridges. And people in communities have been writing letters, making phone calls. We have more than 20 plus bridges of huge sizes that are under construction, and we'll be continuing with a number that might be even greater than that. People on the Linden-Sulzdijk Highway, they are having relief in a manner that they never anticipated before. Minister Ndar was just out there last week with the Prime Minister Luluni. That road has been upgraded. All the roads in Yarakabra, Kairuni, and all those areas are being taken care of. So when you talk about roads and bridges, you also have to think about the big projects, but you also have to think about the community projects. Minister Ndar has already told you about the 4,000 and something roads that are being done. Let's discuss this in a context that people would appreciate.
Yeah.
When you went to Parfait, Harmony, Westminster, Helen, Rust, and
Lost in Rust.
Lost in Rust, and was in the Fort Village. Everybody call it Parfait, Harmony.
Red Dorsey.
Red Dorsey.
Yeah.
Everybody call it Parfait, Harmony. What used to be the complaint?
Nobody wants to drive at the back there.
Well, nobody wants to drive at the back there.
That was the case. At
Everybody is driving at the back there.
Currently, yeah.
The Special Projects Unit has already executed more than 25 kilometers
Yeah.
of asphaltic concrete roads. And we have already had more than 81 contractors build the internal roads. Everybody likes what's going on there. The development in farm, and then you go to Mokka. You used to have complaints. The complaints now is not roads, Shaquille. Please put in speed bump. They're driving too fast. Minister, please put in a pavement for them school children to walk. And that's how development comes. We have answered a call that we could stand anywhere in the world and say, we have taken people out of the mud. When you go to Crabwood Creek, all the grants that the people had to be walking in mud to get to the main road, we've taken care of all of it. The farmers who have to get farm to market access roads, whether it's at number 52, number 58, or the Hoop Branch Road, the Maikoni Branch Road, IR3 all the way down in the back. All those roads have been done, and some of them are being taken to the next level. So when you look at what is happening in the communities where people live, the commercial centers where people have to go to business, all the entrances to schools, police stations, clinics, health centers, hospitals, play fields. And as a matter of fact, Budget 2025, while we're talking about roads and bridges, also takes into account the development of more than 450 community grounds, and I'm sure you're going to talk to Minister Charles Ramsden about that. So what you're talking about is the differently able being able to get their wheelchair and get to her. And not people have to be heisting them, we used to call it. Of course, the correct word is lifting, but we got to talk a little Guyanese here to do. Got to heist the man from the back and bring it to the front.
Yeah.
So all the people who are doing the heisting,
They could rest themselves.
they could rest themselves now because people could actually get out there. And the roads and bridges, while it's 209 billion, and the foolishness we've heard about people can't eat roads and so on. When people don't have a case to make, they have to find something
else. Yeah.
The people, as a result of those roads, are eating. It's not a headache anymore for people to get out and get in. We are developing every single community. And this is where the opposition will have to run and hide. And they will have to hide for a long time. Because while they were singing around the world that Guyanese of African descent are not being addressed and their concerns are not being addressed, they are now silent. All the roads in West Runkveld, East Runkveld, Albistown, Charlestown, Rassville, Roxanne Burnham Gardens, East La Penitence, Durbin Street Lodge, Workmanville, Working Russ. This is just Georgetown. Let's go to Melanie. All the roads in Melanie have been fixed. Let's go to Buxton. Right now there are 20-something projects being undertaken in Buxton beyond the railway embankment going down back into the backlands. Concrete roads are being built. We did all the 25 bridges that had to be done in Buxton. We were in Dazzle Housing Scheme. We were in Beirut.
Mokka Arcadia as well.
Mokka Arcadia, that's Minister Indar's baby. He's been in there so many times.
Yeah, a lot has been happening.
A lot have been happening all the way down to Barnwell. And complementing all that we are doing is the Ministry of Agriculture, working with the farmers on farm-to-market access roads, and the Ministry of Housing and Water, ensuring that they're putting in infrastructure in the new areas where... So, when Minister Ashley Sting referred to the growth in the mining sector, and he singled out sand and quarrying, and it has moved from hundreds of thousands to now multiplied millions, is because of the demand for that material to bring about the construction and the development of the roads. Yeah. So that 209 billion that some people might want to look, there's a lot of money they spend on roads. It's from Regions 1. You go to Bartica, all the roads in Bartica has been completed. The 4-mile road from the airstrip all the way into Bartica has been up. Then when you go into the main connections, the hinterland roads, the laterite roads, heavy development, putting in more material, lifting it from flooding, putting in the bridges. Sooner or later, with the pace and the vision of the PPPC, right down to all 245 or so Amerindian villages would start looking just like how Georgetown or Bartica or Lethem looked in terms of the development. Children will be able to get to secondary school and get home back. So we'll be able to ensure we have universal secondary education. It would enhance the delivery of health care. The doctor that is at Mabura Hill will be able to get to other areas. The service out of Anai, if you have to have the agricultural extension officer will be able to get to the other villages and get back home, talking about the person who leaves Kokwani and could come all the way to Georgetown, do business and get back home. The businessmen who have to get their materials and their supplies and their fuel into the interior would cross on a barge at Timiri, straight to Sand Hills, and in the next 2 hours they're in Bartica, and Bartica is the gateway to the interior. Everything is going into the back, the Middle Mazamuni and all the rest of it. So the network of connectivity, and remember, whenever you build a road, you're not only giving access to housing, but you're giving access to new lands for agriculture, for farming, for people to set up factories. You see how Eccles, when you go down the Heroes Highway, right now from the roundabout at Mandela, you're seeing all those huge warehouses and so on. Sooner or later, when you go to the west side, that is what you're going to be seeing. The road from the Demerara Harbor Bridge all the way into Potentia. Budget 2025 takes care of that. The contract was awarded, the mobilization paid, but it's being financed from this budget. So whether it's the West Bank, whether it's the East Bank, whether it's Regions 1, Regions 4, Regions 5. Right now in Region 5, you have 181 road projects that are being undertaken. Now, we are coming back out in a matter of days. You will see ads in the newspapers for what we call main access roads. Because some of the community roads that we did with the small contractors, we were able to break it up in lots. But because of the main access, when you're doing that road, people still have to be able to get home and get out. We can't break that up into lots. We have to be able to use a methodology that we have been using before. You'll be able to move on one lane with the asphaltic concrete, and then you come to the other lane. So those big access roads that take you all the way down to the back, we'll be coming out with call for contractors in terms of the tender process. So 209 million is going to mop up all those major accesses in the villages. Remember, we've gone into the villages. So we do 4th Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 24th Street, 29th Street, 31st Street. All of that is already on both sides. Now we have to get the main artery done. And one of the reasons why we didn't do that, we didn't want to break up the artery to build the inner streets. So we allowed the concrete trucks and the other trucks to get in, build the inner streets. So now we're coming back out with the main roads.
And complete it.
And complete it. So the $209 billion caters for the major transformational projects like the Quarantine River Bridge, the Borbis River Bridge, continuation of the Demerara Harbor Bridge, the Wisma Bridge, the Makaura Bridge, and all the bridges from Mabura Hill to get to Kurupakari. And sooner or later we'll have to come up with a decision on what we're doing with Kurupakari, the crossing there. So we have that, and then we have the smaller community projects. You know, let's go to Linden, because, you know, sometimes the opposition behaviors is they have the transport for Linden. But what most people in Linden are doing right now, they're going to look for the list of the addendum to the transport that they had, and they're scratching off their name off of the transport of Congress Place. Yeah. And they're saying, I'm a free, manumitted African Guyanese, and I have the freedom of making choice. 425 of them have come forward to participate with the government in the roads project in Linden. 425. I repeat the number, 425. Last night I was in Linden. There was a business expo on the bus park, of which we supported, and I went out there to see what's happening and meet the people. And somebody reminded me, said, man, y'all really mess up Linden, you know. I said, what do you mean? He said, right now I can't go nowhere. Is everybody buying car? Because y'all make 500 people contractors. Think about it. 425 persons were engaged in road works. Another 61 in drainage contracts. And then we had another 13 or 14 in waterfront development, enhancing the waterfront. All people from Linden. All the roads in 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐬, listen to this, all the roads in 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐬 are being done and completed. Contracts are awarded for every road in 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐬. All the roads in Kokwani. These are places that the opposition used to pontificate as if they're the owners, and the manifest destiny says that these people belong to them.
Yeah.
You believe the people in 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐬 and Kokwani want to hear trash? The people in Kokwani and 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐬, they're walking on new roads.
they're seeing results.
And you know what's it? The people from the communities are involved. So when we were going to the elections, we said we will create 50,000 new jobs. Come on, somebody need to write the story. We have passed 50,000 2 years ago. Look what is happening now. Everybody's at work. And the person who is saying that they're not employed, people are not employed because they're not opportunities, you know. People are employed because they would like to do a specific work at a specific place. But opportunities abound throughout the length and breadth of this country. New Amsterdam, Bartica, Madhya, all the roads in Madhya are being done. All. So, every township, or what you might want to call a municipal area, every local authority area, every Amerindian village, every place where people live, we are improving their lives. Those who live in the riverine areas, we've built a road into Malali, we've built a road into Muritario. We've improved access from Kokwani to Hururu. The internal roads in Hururu are being built. The waterfront of all the villages in the Berbice and Demerara River, President would have spoken of that extensively when he addressed the Parliament. We're developing that. And by the way, we are actively right now negotiating the finalizing of 3 wooden boats that will be added to the government fleet to move products out of the Berbice River, the Demerara River, and the Pomeroon River. We are looking at improving everyone. So when somebody said, but all the public works got $252 billion, and that $252 billion translate into joy and happiness in homes, in villages, and communities. What they were never able to have and experience, and the opportunities, they could have it now. And this is where I'm prepared to stand and debate any member of the opposition, anyone who stays from behind a camera on Facebook or TikTok and throw dirt at the PPPC saying, you ain't looking after the country. You know what they're actually saying? They're admiring us, but they're admiring us awkwardly. So 209 billion, we might very well have to get some more money with the rate that we are going. So let's see how the economy goes. Let's see how we can find fiscal space.
Yeah.
We are doing more than we promise. I've been making that point. We promise, but we are doing more than we promise.
Thank you, Minister 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐬. Minister Indar, picking up on something Minister 𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐬 spoke about, the Community Roads Program. I'm seeing $53.2 billion allocated to that. And persons are familiar with the faces that we see at contract signing ceremonies. A lot of women involved from all races. Thousands of people have been engaged by the President Ali administration, but especially at the community level. Tell me about what you have been seeing, and what does this mean for the communities, for, you know, persons right there to be involved in the modernization of Guyana?
Well, since we came into government in 2020, you know, a lot of these communities, I actually walk them, meet with the people, go down on the ground, you know, see the projects. We design them, we procure them. And of recent, we came up with a model that enables a fixed rate per meter, so that there is no, you know, discrimination between people. People don't have to, you know, outbid each other to a point where they make no money to do the work. And that process we have seen last year, I think, is about 3,500 contractors in the pool there, small contractors from the community. We call community participation, which is people in the community building out their community. You saw some with Sophia. The whole of Sophia is being built out, right? You saw the Amstel, Moko, as a minister said, Buxton, all of the different areas, Luziknan, you name it, all over the country, every part of the country. So on roads and bridges, I believe that we have built, actually it's more than 4,000. I think it's bordering between close to 8,000 roads when we checked it, between the special projects unit that goes out and do work on behalf of the ministry and those that goes out to contractors.
Yeah.
We put them together. It's a lot of roads, a lot. That's why you see every community you go, government is building a road for the people of the community. Women participation, persons of varying ethnic background, the procurement process does not see color. We don't, that is not how we operate. When we go out and we do the work, you see people from all walks of life. So those who complain about, oh, you know, the only ones that the people getting the work, it's just a desperate cry. But when they see other folks getting the work, especially people from the AP-NUAFC camp, you know, they cause them out too for taking work. Now, who in the right mind would, you know, abuse somebody publicly just because they get in a contract to do work in their community or to make a living? And I guess that is the, you know, the culture in which we live in. But Shakil, I want to talk a little more about the other things of this budget. I know Minister Edge will give you a mouthful on the various things that we're doing, and he only scratched the surface. Because last year, when we look at the summary reports, was 2 files. They were thick like this. I have them in my car. That's just the summary of the works that we did in 2024, using up about $203 billion in capital spending. But we have the current side too, that we spend money on desilting works, maintenance works. All those are projects, and it goes in the hands of people who make money to live. But on the other side of the budget, there are a whole host of things that this budget brings. On the transport sector, we've been doing a lot when it comes to the vessels that move people between regions 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And the kind of 𝐌𝐢𝐬𝐬 side too. We're doing a lot of works to make sure people move their goods and themselves and their families around the country to make sure the trade is buoyant, because all those communities depend on that. We are modernizing the aviation sector. We are putting in a second terminal at the airport. Just now, you won't have to fill out that form that you're filling out. And then we have some of the kiosks that we're putting in that you have, when you come to immigration, once you docked in the first time with a new ID card, after that you'll find yourself, you know, your face will show up and you go through, it will open for you. You know, it's a program that we started a while now. A lot of work went into it, but it's modernizing those facilities. So when people come, the first thing they see is the airport they land and the first road they drive on. And the last thing they remember is the last road they drive on and the airport that they left. So we had to make sure that we leave that good image in people's mind when they come. Last year, over 1 million persons came to Guyana. Over 1 million persons traveled. So we got to make sure that that aspect of it is dealt with too, and we are looking at it. Money's in the budget for those. But this budget does much more than that. This budget, if you look at some of the measures, I would like to talk about some of those things that we are doing for people. Now, the permanent works, which is the infrastructure works, goes in whether it's public works, NDIA, housing, health, and education, right? Yeah. Schools are being built everywhere. Primary schools, secondary schools, and you have the associated dorms and training facilities. The same is happening in the health sector. 12 new we have hospitals all over the place now will be built. Some of them are in the advanced stages. The one you have one in Dekendron, the West Dem Hospital. In Region 3, the population is, you know, over 100,000. So you have a lot of people to take care of that. Look, you have right in Ogle, you have that pediatric facility there. New Amsterdam is being done. You have in Region 1, Region 9. So all over, the health facilities are being built to show people that this is how the government cares. We're bringing healthcare service to you. We're bringing power to you. In the hinterland, we give out about 30,000 home systems. We build up another 35 to 40 mini-grid systems. We're getting all of the hydropower commission, all the solar farm commission, whether it's Letem, Madia, 𝐿𝐢𝐳𝐬𝐿𝐬, Legwam, Bart, you name it, is being built out. This year we got another 7,200 home systems to put in. So power, healthcare, and education is going into into the hinterland community. In the hinterland community, Minister Edgell talk about roads. But it's not just building roads, it's the people in the community building the roads. The people in the community. St. Cuthbert's Mission, whether it's Whitewater, Warramuri, Yurong Paru, all those is community participation. People in the community is building the community. Man, woman, and, well, I can't say child, but man, woman, and, you know, everybody who is able-bodied and adult. So the budget does more on the softer side of things. Minister Edgell mentioned about old age pension. How best that you can show that you care for your people when the elderly that give everything for the country, pay their taxes for their lifetime, you know, contributed to society. Now they are in the elder age, you know, they were getting pittance when APNE was in there.
Who had promised to double it, actually?
Who promised to double it, right? We've picked it up at 20,500, and this year, effective January 1, it is $41,000. Just imagine the cash grant that we're going to give, the student cash grant that we're giving children in school. You have 205,000 children, 205,000 of them, and a government, a whole government, would have looked at those thousands of children and say, you can't get this money. And that time it was 10 grand when they was in power. You know, a collective wisdom of an entire government telling children, the future of this country, we can't give you the money. And they stopped it. Our government came in, the president promised it on the campaign trail, and when he came in, he reinstated it back. This year, every child will get $50,000 plus another $5 grand for the uniform. So $55,000 per child. So if you got 2 children or 3 children, you just multiply it by that, and you'll see how much money going in directly into this. $11 billion into the hands of parents. $11 billion. Look what we're doing with the income tax. Income tax dropped between 28% and 25%. The rate, 40% to 35%. The rate drop, but then the threshold raise. So you're getting double benefit. You drop so your threshold raised to 130,000, right? From 65,000 we took off, it's to 130,000 now. Then if you have a supplemental job, back in the prior to now, that person who employ you would have had to use the same law to tax you for the first 100,000 and so on. But if you have a second job, the first 50,000 you don't get taxed. Then your overtime now, if you work your overtime, the first 50 grand is non-taxable. So you're talking about 130 plus 50 plus 50. That's $230,000 right away, not tax. If you have children, 10 grand allowance you get in non-taxable. If you have 2, it's 20 grand, that's another 20,000. You understand per month how much money now your tax threshold is raised now so high that a lot of people in that tax bracket, when I check the number, there's about 100,000 people in that tax bracket will benefit from that. 100,000 people. Oh, I spoke about the old age pension, the public assistance. When you go around this country, and I go around this country a lot, I can tell you, I speak to people a lot. I'm at Freedom House, I'm all over the place. Public assistance is something that people, people look forward to when they need it, People who can't work, who, have stroke, different things. We raise public assistance consistently, right? Over 40-something thousand people, I think, is on that. So it'll benefit them. Look, agriculture equipment, mining equipment, and those things, generators and so on. If you have a company running and you buy a farm equipment, excavator, tractor, something, you still got to pay VAT on those things. VAT, because of those things are high capital, the VAT is very costly. Yeah. Now you don't have to pay VAT. Remember, APNE put VAT on those things. They put VAT on those things. So all those things were removed so people can actually, people think rice farmers make a whole set of money. You talk to them rice farmers 2 crop a year and check how much they get for the cost minus the how much paddy they get per acre. You check.
But Minister Indira could do that graphically. When the man buy the generator and he had VAT in it, it's a generator yet. Take off VAT, he could buy the generator and a premium.
Yeah, you're right.
You got the generator and a premium. So let's just give people an understanding.
Yeah, it's 40% VAT because one of them generator, is plenty money. This capital is high. So that money could go into other things. You can build a shed for the generator.
Yeah.
You understand? We could put a fuel tank at the side there for the generator. That is what we're talking about. That is the help that is going to everybody, right? So this budget has, I can tell you, it's bursting with enough investment in all of the different sectors to help people. In the middle of this budget is the people, right?
Yes.
And that is what is budgeted.
Yes, Minister. And Minister 𝐏𝐿, final thoughts as we count down. We don't have the luxury of time. I know this is a very engaging discussion, and of course we will see a lot coming out in the budget debates and when we go through the estimates. But your final thoughts on what you think Guyanese people should take away from Budget 2025?
It rewards hard-working people. Every hard-working, patriotic Guyanese can sit and say, look, I've been working hard, but my government is doing something to make sure that the proceeds of my labor are available for me to improve my life. I'm getting less taxation, more from the government. Not only does it rewards hard people, it encourages personal development, whether it's studies, with free education to be available. Last year, the measures that we announced, if you're in the job and you get your first degree, you get an immediate increment. You get your master's degree, it's an immediate increment. You get your PhD, it's an immediate increment. It encourages people to study and personally develop themselves. And the third thing that I want people to take away, this budget represents the one Guyana that President Ali has been talking about. We take care of Amerindians, we take care of all the villages, all the municipalities, we're bringing water supply and improved water to everybody, medical care with the regional hospitals and the sophisticated specialist hospitals, universal secondary education, ensuring that primary school children are taken care of, the elderly across the board. And just because you're Guyanese and you're 18 and you're supposed to be elevating yourself, a cash grant to help you to plan your future, make the necessary investments. It provides a training, so for personal development. And finally, this budget also shows that the PPPC is not a bunch of hustlers. The PPPC we're a team that you can trust. And I've emphasized it. People could find and said, 𝐏𝐿 talking about how the PPP is a team that they could trust. We deliver. We have shortcomings, but the overall good of the Guyanese people are served when Team PPPC is in office. So you might say, I'm expecting more. Somebody might even want to say, you could have given more than the 100,000. You could have given 500,000. But compare it to somebody who's saying that now, when they were there, they didn't give you 1,000, and they took away the 10 that you had. Yeah, so we are good for Guyana, and it addresses the equity that we want to see in our One Guyana platform. It takes care of people who are in the culture and the arts. It takes care of sport people. It looks after the youth. It looks after the religious community that are involved in social work. It takes place of people's entertainment, their recreation, building out more green spaces, and it caters for people who have families. We're reducing family travel time. The 2 hours you used to spend on the road to go home, you could sit with your child and read, teach them things. You could plant your flower garden. You could be able to have more time to relax. Your frame of mind is going to be better. So it's a budget that discusses and produces an environment for the development of the whole person and all of Guyana without discriminating.
Indeed, a secure, prosperous and sustainable Guyana. That's what Budget 2025 promises to deliver. And as a young Guyanese, I look forward to the delivery of this budget and seeing my country grow. I encourage all Guyanese, all persons listening to this program, tap into Budget 2025 because there's definitely something in store for you. Minister Edgel and Minister Indar, thank you very much for joining me. I'm your host, Shaquille Bourne. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, Jack.